Until 1989, Cuba exchanged its abundant sugar production for cheap, imported, subsidized oil from the Eastern Bloc. In fact, it was so cheap that Cuba pursued a highly industrialized, fuel-thirsty form of agriculture, not so different from the kind of farming you see in many British fields today.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the supply of crude oil pretty much dried up. In fact, imports went down by about 50%, and that had dramatic implications for food production.
It's as if the oil tap was suddenly turned off. Cuba struggled to come to terms with this new reality. And one of the first casualties was the range of food that had been available for people to eat.
And I've decided that the best way to find out what it's like to live on a Cuban diet is to actually eat it. So I've come here, it's a normal family out in the suburbs of Havanna. You've got the bananas over there, little chick here, which is rather sweet, and a chicken coop. I mean, it certainly has the feel of a place where they're trying to produce some of their own food. The one thing I do hope is that for breakfast they do have a very big, strong, black coffee, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. Hola, I'm George. Okay. So who's Griselia?
Yeah.
And
Desiree.
Desiree. And I see you got the coffee on. Griselia, you're a star. Thank you. This is what I've been waiting for. Thank you. That is good.
Está muy bueno.
Está bueno.
Bueno, bueno. So what are you going to have for breakfast today?
Eso nada más, ya.
That's it?
Para no tomarlo solo.
No, no eggs, no bread?
No, pero no.
Or that's it? We're not going to have any more to eat, because Griselia doesn't eat anything more at breakfast. So this is my breakfast. Got the whole day ahead of me, and I'm going to start that day with this. Anyway, it's great coffee.
Griselia and her family get most of their food in the form of government rations. This provides the basics but offers very little in the way of luxuries. What they do have, they spread very carefully through the day. Later that morning, I visited a local farm. I joined the workers as they headed in from the fields to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
This is part 2 of my Cuban diet, lunch. Now, all I've had, it's gone midday, and all I've had so far, those cups of lovely coffee, but that was all coffee. And I come to a workers' canteen and going to eat as the workers do. Hola.
Hola.
So, can I have my lunch? Ah, gracias.
Okay.
Feels vaguely like I'm in some kind of institution, actually. A bit like going back to boarding school. The potatoes don't look too bad. That's very tasty. Black beans and rice. It's okay. I wouldn't want to do this every day, but it's okay.
At the time of the oil shock, average calorie consumption in Cuba dropped by about a third to dangerously low levels. Since then, they've actually bounced back and now eat just a little less than us here in Britain. The biggest difference is that we get about 3 times more of our food energy from animal products like meat and dairy. The Cuban diet is much less fatty than ours, and it requires less fuel to produce. So, if we in Britain do face big oil price increases, this diet could make us healthier and wealthier. But the big question is, would we actually like it? I'm reserving my judgment until I've had my last meal of the day with Griselia and her family.
Griselia, these bananas, are they from outside?
Sí,
Oh. The eggs are also from your own chickens.
sí.
That's great, thank
¿Está
you.
bien?
I have the egg, lovely. The rice and the beans. How many times a week do you have that?
No, yo casi todos los días cocino arroz y frijoles.
So don't you get tired of rice and beans every day?
¿Frijoles?
No,
No.
una comida típica de Cuba. Nosotros comemos muchos frijoles. Siempre.
Anyway, I want to thank you very much for cooking this meal for me today. You know, from the morning when you gave me some coffee to give me energy, and now to finish my day. Thank you.
Me alegro mucho.
Griselia's making one of her coffees for me. It gives me a chance to talk about the food that I've had, well, all day. And what was nice about this evening was that the fried bananas came from the tree here, the eggs came from the chickens that are being reared in the garden, and that felt great, actually, to be eating something produced by the family. The downside, without any question, is that it was exactly the same as I had for lunch. There were the beans and the rice, and there's no meat. And listening to Griselia and her family, that goes on week after week. Now, the reason they do it is because they have to do it. Cuba had to change. It had to change its diet because suddenly they had to produce things without oil. Now, some people say that back home in Britain, we might face a shock a bit like that. But the idea that we'd be able to change our way of living, change our way of eating, like families here, well, I can't really see that. I think it would be a terrible shock to the system.